Just the no task.
Each piece by hand.
Very good, John. Wow.
Hopefully we're not going to have to send us back again to Christmas time. We flipped beginning of August and then we'll switch this year.
Yeah.
Of course, all our rabbit plus rabbit.
John has
So we had to flip back on Friday lunchtime.
You should have gone there and
Hi, sorry I'm late. So you just got stuck in traffic. I think it might be the weather, the tram. So we'll just jump straight into it. Okay, so don't arrive late. I forgot that was the first slide. Clearly, I should have read through my slides before I stood up here. Really sorry about that. Know your slide deck? Cool. Yeah, cool. I again didn't really check that out. And obviously, you need to introduce your talk. So apologies for that false start, the real one and the fake one. My name is John Cleary. I'm the co-founder of a company called Createch. And I had this idea for a talk some time ago. I gave my last talk here a year and a half ago or something. And Hassan, the other co-founder of the company, said, John, I really liked your talk, but could you maybe do a technical talk? And I kind of said, don't really do technical talks. And so I said, what about if I gave a talk about giving technical talks? Would that do? And he said, no. But I more or less decided to do that anyway. So thank you. So this is the talk about giving talks, sort of like a meta talk, a talk, if you will. I'm going to be honest with you, we're not going to cover everything, and we can't. I had a bit of a sort of a panic moment, I need to confess with you, at the weekend, last Saturday. I woke up in the morning and I was rehearsing my talk, which is code for starting to prepare my talk. And I had this kind of panic moment thinking, I'm going to be on the stage in front of these people, many who have spoken before, okay? And I'm going to say, hey, this is how you give a talk. And sort of that kind of scared me because you all know how to give talks. And I don't want to be the one saying this is the only way to do it. Then I remembered some of my own advice, which is about slide 27, which says it's really about your own personal experience. So what I'm giving you today is some of my experiences, some of the things that have worked well for me, some of the, the ups, but also some of the downs, some of the failures along the way. Can I just get a quick show of hands? Who's given a talk at an event like this or a conference before? That's cool. That's like most of you. That's pretty cool. Basically, the next 20 slides are questions that you all answer. So it's I'm not going to do it. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit technical here, so try and bear with this part of the talk. You can break a talk down into 3 distinct phases, or the whole sort of life cycle of a talk. We start phase 0, the bit before the talk. And that is basically at the moment when you decide you want to give a talk, and you've sort of said, oh yeah, that'd be a good idea. I'll set up in front of a load of people and I'll talk for like 40 minutes. That's a great idea. Right up until phase 1, the talk, which is the bit I'm doing right now. So if anyone's not following, just making that clear. So phase 1 is the talk itself. And then the bit after the talk. Okay, and the bit after the talk is the bit that I'm afraid gets neglected the most. I think it's people don't really think about what you do afterwards. I've only got one slide about it, so I'm not really addressing that very well, but one slide is better than none. Okay, so, oh yeah, and this is just, a couple of weeks before Euro 40 minutes and up to including infinity. Obviously, if you give a talk and never give another talk ever again, then that's infinity. If you decide to give one more talk, then you go back to phase 0. Okay, it's pretty clear, I think. Phase 0, the bit before the talk. So why would we give a talk? I mean, what would possess any of you to give a talk? Most of you people showed hands, so can I ask, Tekin, because I know your name, what was your motivation, when you decide, hey, look, I'd like to put something out there in the space?
That's complicated.
It's all right. I mean, I've basically got 40 minutes to pad, so.
Many reasons. Felt like I had something to say that I thought people would appreciate.
Yeah.
Also felt that it's a good way to force yourself to deepen your thinking on a subject.
That's cool.
Yeah, and also generally good for career and
Yeah.
awareness of what you do?
Go pick on Rob. Go on, I picked on you again. Know your name. Anyone who doesn't know his name, I don't know. You're safe tonight, basically.
I think building on what Techie said, I think there's also sort of an obligation that you go to enough talks and people just say, "When's your talk then?"
Yeah.
And yeah, basically peer pressure.
Yeah.
I think it's the name of that.
Yeah. I think for me, it was really good to get outside your comfort zone. The first time I gave a talk, I was like super nervous, but I knew that you kind of grow as a person. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to do it. I do agree that it's it's good for your career. It's like a part of your personal branding. That's something you take with you, through life. You can sort of get in the rat race in a job, and you can be fighting for a promotion or a rise, whatever. But your career, your personal branding is something that you take with you all the way. And so you've got the sort of asset that's in. I gave that talk, and I've done my slides. And yeah, it's like sharing the knowledge. We're a relatively small group, so being able to share it with one another is pretty cool. What do we talk about? Right, this is like where most people seem to get stuck. I think it's a really tough question. Someone else, how did you choose what to speak about, Reese? What was your kind of?
You suggested something.
You've got an awesome boss. I just the camera there. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing, really.
Yeah.
Maybe just go away and think about something, maybe something you know about as well.
Yeah.
Easy to talk about stuff that you kind of have experience with.
Yeah, I think I've got what is my foolproof kind of system of working out what to talk about. And it goes a bit like this. So it's definitely good to talk about something you're passionate about. This is so true. I've watched TED Talks about squid, and I'm not into squid, but you watch a talk about squid and you think that's a really interesting talk. That person really knows that, and you feed off that, and you find it interesting as well. So that is definitely a big part of it. You can speak. You should really focus on the stuff that you really like, because if you go with the other stuff, the stuff that's cool or hip right now, you may be falling off a cliff. It is good, however, particularly in the Ruby community, if you're giving a talk here or whatever it is, to talk about stuff people want to listen to. So if you can get that kind of balance of, look, I'm really interested in this, other people want to hear about it too. Pretty obvious stuff, right? But the last and the killer ingredient to every talk, and if your talk does not have this, right, you're missing out. This is you should be ashamed of yourself, and you should step away from the tech community. You should be talking about blockchain right now. Okay, so that's. But no, I mean, serious aside, I do think if you can blend those two, that's kind of the sort of key to that. Okay, so phase one. So I've made you all decide you want to give a talk, all 4 of you who haven't already given one, I hope. And so we want to talk about the talk itself. The first thing to remember is the content of what you're going to speak about. And what you have to remember is you can't tell everybody everything. I said that at the start about this talk. I'm not trying to cover everything here tonight. There are plenty of blogs and wikis and YouTube talks about it. So you have to decide what it is that's critical, what messages you want to get across. I use a trick that teachers use, which is having learning outcomes, having a lesson plan with learning outcomes. They write down at the start what 3 or 4 or maybe 5 things they want the children or adults, if they're teaching adults, to take home at the end. So that's a really good way to start. That kind of gives a foundation of what it is you're going to be speaking about. I've written mine down here, so just to give you a flavor of what it's like. So what I want to talk about tonight is I wanted to convey that public speaking is accessible. That you don't have to talk about the next big thing, the cool stuff, that you can talk about your passion. I want to emphasize the importance of structuring the talk, which we'll come on to. And I also want to emphasize the importance of preparation and practicing. Okay. So structure. This is something that I think, and really think about technical talks in particular, that we forget. The structure of your talk is really important. There is a tendency in the tech community to sort of brain dump onto your slides and flick through those, and that be the talk. If you're talking about a new language or something like that, you can fall into that trap. I think you should think about the dramatic structure, the having a beginning, a middle, and an end. The classic storytelling where there's sort of rising conflict and conclusion can be difficult to convey in something technical. But if you look at technical topics, but if you look at them from your perspective. So we're talking about what we liked about this technology, what worked, what didn't work, what problems we had. Would I have done it differently? What did I learn about it? That's what people want to know. They can get the how-to guides off the internet, so they don't really want that. They want to hear your story and it's sort of bleeding out from you like that. Me, for example, when I prepare my talks, I use Evernote and I put all the things down just in like note format, one line by line, everything I want to say in the talk. And then I kind of group them together and structure them into sort of common themes. And then I look and see is there a story there. And if there is, then I might email someone and say, hey, I want to give a talk. And then organize that around a structure that conveys either over time or something like that. So there's that beginning, middle, and the end. You can fall back to the position of say what you're going to say it, and say what you've said. But I think it has to be a fallback position. I think it's good to summarize at the end, but it shouldn't be the only thing you do. If you watch a good movie, they don't tell you everything that's going to happen at the beginning. You watch the movie and then they tell you what you just saw. That isn't how good stories work. So think about the structure in terms of the story. It's really important as well now in terms of style, so the way you deliver your talk, to think about your audience. So the delivery of it, is it formal, informal? What is the purpose of your talk? Is it to educate? Is it to entertain? A bit of both. Or is it something else? The way you dress. So for example, tonight I'm dressed quite formally. So we're going to, you literally clipped on here. So I just, to dress with you guys, I need to take the shirt off or this segment doesn't work. So don't look at me. Give a guy a bit of privacy. Oh my God, you guys. I'm not sure if I can be heard anymore now. So I'm going to dress like a techie because this is a techie talk, right? So hope you can all see that. I realized after I made the t-shirt that I probably should have used a closure or something so I could do something else in the talk bit. So dress appropriately for your audience. And obviously convey the message in the way the audience are expecting to perceive it. So if it's a work-related talk, you might have to be a bit more formal and loads of bullet points or whatever, and pictures of people running over the finish line, right, in suits. That's fine. But if it's here, you can have a bit more fun. These are the slides from a talk I gave last year, and talking about style. So these all had the same theme, and these beautiful drawings were done by my daughter. Nobody's allowed to say anything bad because she's a child, but also they all glued together. They all looked the same, and they all had the same characters in them, and it went down really well. Actually, probably got more activity on Twitter than my talk did. I mean, it certainly got more activity on Twitter than my talk did. So you can do something like that if you want. You can have a kind of a theme, but be consistent with your style. Now the next thing, the quality of that is absolutely awful. Sorry. So what I want to talk about here are bullets and bullet points, and this is obviously neo-dodging bullets, and I encourage you to do the same. Bullet points on your slides can kill the whole message. Everyone gets bored, they start reading your slides. Coming back to the technical talk, sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes you do need to list, 6 or 7 things on the screen, or you need to put some text on there. What I would say is, if it's a lot of bullet points and you really can't get away from it, do that thing, the trick where, they brings one at a time. So that means at least your audience are following along with you. Okay, so you're going bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. If it's a lot of code, what I would suggest you doing is fogging out the code that you're not talking about and just making the code that you're interested in focus. So you just move the unfogged bit up and down the screens while you're talking about it. So you have that. It takes a lot more prep, but it's worth doing. And I would generally think about the 3-second rule. If you're putting text on there, keep it to 3 seconds max for people to read it. If they're reading for more than 3 seconds, you've blown it, right? They're not listening to you anymore, they're reading your slides. So use plenty of text. I would definitely do that. And also what I would do is I would definitely not talk what's on the slides so that people are trying to read that or try to keep up with you. This go on for quite a long time, and you can really do like a 60-minute thing. We just go on and on. So I'm going to stop that for a second. Show of hands, who is reading? Yeah, probably everyone. Anyone heard me speaking? Yeah, but actually heard what I said? Probably not, right? So you can't have 2 messages going on. You don't want to be competing with this. Okay, this is your backdrop. Okay, it's there to show you off. You're the attraction. You want to come see, then come to see some slides. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And this is the one key message I want to really drum home with everyone. And it's the message I learned the hard way, which is practice. Practice your talk as often as you can. Practice it any way you can. You can practice whatever works for you. If you have a friend who will listen to you, then practice in front of them. If you just want to like mumble in front of your screen and just go through it like I do, then that works too. Don't confuse practice with preparation. Preparation is getting your slides ready and getting your talk ready and getting your ideas together. That's not the same as practicing that talk. And practicing is the thing that will tell you where the cracks are. I've got a sort of kind of, again, a bit of a tough story, and it's one of the reasons I'm talking so much about this. Coming back to that talk I gave last year, and I had prepared. I prepared a lot, and I'd got my story together, and I knew what I was going to talk about. And I was at a conference, and I had the closing slot, which I was really pleased about. And I prepared, and I'd got my slides, and I knew what I was going to say. It was going to be great. But I hadn't practiced it. The talk was on Sunday, like Sunday lunchtime. Friday night, we went to the hotel, checked in where the conference was, and then I went up to my room and I said, oh, now would be really, really should do this. And I went through and I started going through it and panic. I have 11 minutes of talk for a 45-minute slot, and it's not even a good 11 minutes. It's like, it's pretty weak. And what I realized, there was no story. It was not a technical talk, so it could have had a really nice story to it, and it didn't. So I panicked. I rang my wife, who's here, by the way. And she talked me through it and sort of said, you've got lots of time, which is true. I did have a lot of time. You can remedy this. So I spent the rest of that evening, took some deep breaths, and and then I started going through my slides and going through my talk and going through the material. It was based on a book. I read through some of that, and I went through. And then the next day, which was Saturday, I did the same. And right up until about 1 a.m. on Sunday night, Monday morning. And by then I felt, okay, I've got it. It's not perfect. It's not what I wanted. It's about 22 minutes, but I was prepared as I was going to get, and it was as good as I was going to get. And it was a good talk, just a short one. It was like, I'm going to say it's like a TED talk because it was 20 minutes, but really I had a 45-minute slot. And I got away. It was a good talk. It came across well. And what I did was I came on and I didn't tell everything I've just told you, but I did say this is going to be a 20-minute talk. I'm sorry it's not a little bit longer, but that's what the material suggested, which is a blatant lie because I didn't practice. So I would say practice, because that will tell you how long your talk is. It'll tell you if there's a structure. It'll tell you what's missing. It'll tell you if it all gels together, if the order needs to change. So I definitely learned my lesson, and I certainly wasn't practicing this just up to 2 hours ago. Okay, is that too loud? I can't turn it down. Okay, can we turn this? Okay, I hope that doesn't ruin that. So, I always like trying to have funny moments in my talk. Okay, but what I think is really, really, really important to learn is that you can't make it funny when you want it to be funny. You can try, and you can put the bits in, and you hope people will laugh. So I've got a message for anyone who's trying to sort of have those funny bits and to liven it up a bit. Don't worry if people don't laugh out loud, right? They might be laughing, they might be enjoying it, they just might not be roaring with laughter. That's the first thing. Second is they'll laugh at the wrong stuff, and that's true, right? This fell off, and you guys love that, and that was great. And if I had a Slack notification go across now, you'd all be like, "That's hilarious, John." And you can get, you'll get those laughs, and it's fine as long as the audience are enjoying it. That's good, and it doesn't matter if maybe it's a little bit at your expense. What I would say is, don't sweat it too much, and don't make it integral to the whole plot, right? Because if you need to get a laugh somewhere in order for the next piece to work, you might be setting yourself up for a fall, depending on how you deliver it. So that's my serious note about comedy. Okay, so the next, I have a community group of people online, business people and so on, and I asked them. Some of them have done public speaking, and I sort of put a message out, and I said, would you have any advice, some filler slides for me for the last segment of my talk? And they said, yeah, absolutely. And they gave me loads of advice, and I've essentially cherry-picked the bits that coincide with the story that I'm trying to tell to make it look like everyone agrees with me. So the next few bits are that, but these are real quotes. So think about the dramatic structure of your presentations. Again, it comes back to that point that you're telling a story, it's dramatic. You can make it fun, you can make it sad or whatever. So just try and think about that. Be as prepared as you possibly can be, John. So yeah, definitely obviously spend that extra time getting ready. Make sure you're not reading your slides like I am right now. Sorry about that. But no, it's a really valid point, because the temptation is to put everything up here and then read it out, and that's like super boring. As you notice, I've been over here and I've been looking at my slides. That's way better, and obviously if you can get your screen up here, better still, right? It's okay to have a flick at your slides. It does come back to the rehearsal though. The more you rehearse, the less you'll need to look down there. Okay. So this is a great one. Like, what happens if someone asks you a question and you don't know the answer? I think a lot of people get a bit panicked about this, and someone's advice was pause, breathe. They said, ask a clarifying question. And then think, like, do you actually know maybe you know the answer to this? And then, if you do, obviously give the answer. If you don't, then you have to have a bit of a game plan. So that's what I would suggest. Have a game plan. Decide, well, first of all, think of the killer questions that you would hate to be asked. Like, think about those, write them down. Say, what would I absolutely dread being asked? Write them down and work out what your answer is. And that could be your game plan. Your game plan is, I've got an answer for all of those. Have another slot for, what if they ask me another question that I haven't thought of? What am I going to say then? Or just don't allow questions. I mean, that's super easy, right? Just say, I hate being asked questions. I'm not great thinking on the spot. I'm really sorry. My talk will not have any questions. Or you don't even say anything. Just don't ask any questions. Don't say, I'm so nervous. Everyone's nervous. Someone asked me before, are you nervous tonight? Like, you've spoken before. Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm still nervous. I was nervous coming in. It was weird being late and like on purpose, and then, but still nervous because I wanted to get the talk started. Everyone gets nervous, but it's fine. Everyone knows everyone gets nervous. You don't need to point it out. It's fine. Just like skip over that. I'm not, where are we? There we go. I'm not a member of Toastmasters, but I know a few people who are, and they recommend it. It's a great way of learning how to do public speaking. So I can't give any qualification on how good it is, but my sister, for example, is a member, and she says it's really good. So think about that. Think about, if you want to do it a bit more frequently, join it. I don't know what you have to pay, but look that stuff up. And again, rehearse. Talk to your bookcase. Talk to yourself. Know your material inside out. Be really, really comfortable and familiar with it. And now what did just, whoa, there we go. And I got, obviously, Oscar Wilde tweeted me as well, and he said, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. And that's and again, one of my other key pieces. You can't be someone else up here. You've got to be yourself. And it's great to emulate someone and to admire someone that you think is a great speaker. And so I'd like to be more like them, and try to be more like them. But you are you, and that's what people have come to see. So, be comfortable with that. Cool. I'm going to open the floor, and it's fine if you don't. But does anyone here have got any kind of words of wisdom that they would give someone who has never spoken before, is thinking about giving their first talk? What would you say to them? Show of hands, anyone? No? Quiet? Yeah?
Especially if you're new to it. Don't try and ad-lib jokes. You'll just end up sounding horrifically stupid or something, or fall flat. You'll end up sounding racist or something. As a newcomer talking, that is what will happen if you try and ad-lib a joke in your talk. The more people you try and do it in front of, the worse it's going to come.
Yeah. It's cool. Anybody else?
Not all from personal experience.
From sitting at the back some of the time, yeah. Anybody else? Yeah?
I think what resonated with me the most was we talked about the having passion for a thing.
Yeah.
The best talks I've been able to give have been where I've been an expert in the subject matter, and really knowing the subject matter inside out just allows you to just... I struggle to create and produce quite often, but when I know about something, it just flows out.
Yeah.
And I guess that's quite a personal thing, so I can't necessarily say it will match for everyone else, but just a matter of be an expert in the thing you're talking about, or if you're not, become one. And that goes a long way.
Yeah, that's really true. I think though also that if you've used a piece of technology, it's something that not everyone has used, and you've struggled with it, I think that story can be useful too. But if you're giving that detailed, in-depth talk about something, knowing it back to front is great. Go on, Will.
I think starting small as a user group like this is a good idea, especially because you can remember that everybody wants you to succeed.
Yeah.
And literally everybody in the room when you do a talk in North, the Tree user group is behind you and will tolerate when you cover it up as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you want to get started, that's a good thing to remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I wanted to do public speaking, the first thing I did, which was the wrong thing, was submit loads of talks to conferences. And then I got knocked back, and I knew the organizer, so I said, what advice would you give? And he said, well, come to your meetup group. Let's see what you like. Have a track record. We're not going to put you up on the stage until, we know you can speak properly. So, get yourself down there and put yourself out and practice. And you don't have to go to conferences, right? You don't have to be a conference speaker. You can, at any level that you're comfortable with. It's not like a ladder you need to climb. Anybody else? Go, Will. Teacher's pet now.
Ram your slides with as many animated GIFs as possible. Whatever Tekken says, they vastly improve.
I was nearly going to put on "Do not use animated GIFs." I remember watching a talk, and the thing was going, and I was just like that. Okay, yeah. Personal taste, maybe. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's personal taste. That was a joke. Do what you want.
If you do, just don't leave them looping.
I know. Yeah. This is the experience I had, which was something just going and going, and it's like the text. You just drawn to it. Might as well leave the football on and just see while you're trying to give a talk. Okay. So this has died. Great. Phase 2. So phase 2 is the bit after the talk. Thank you. There we go. I would say celebrate. I would say enjoy yourself. I would say congratulate yourself. Do something to mark the fact that you've done it, even if it's just go for a meal or, ring a friend or, God forbid, put it on LinkedIn or, and just sort of say, hey, I did it. Like I did it. Whatever I did, and and I'm happy with it. And then I would use some kind of, foibles to sort of agile and say, well, let's be introspective about this and, think about what could have gone better and what went well, right? Think about what you would do differently next time. They're really useful things. Don't just go, yeah, I did my best. So, even write it down. Like I did this bit well. That could have been definitely stronger. And if you've got a friend, like a really good friend, someone who will be honest with you, they're a great person, and say, look, I really want you to tell me, 2 things that could have improved on. That's a super duper bit. And you can blog about it too. So put your stuff on LinkedIn, but put up there, hey, I gave my first talk, or whatever. So that's it really. That's the end of my talk. I'm just going to say, as I said before, do speak about something you're really passionate about. Definitely structure your talk in that way, in the form of a story, and practice your talk. That's it. Anybody got any questions that we haven't already asked? I was way shorter than I thought as well. So I was absolutely blown up. Yes,
What's the number one question you didn't want anyone to ask?
Ooh, might be that one. Good question. I don't know. I think if people pry into why you want to do public speaking, because some of it is a little bit selfish. You're looking for you're promoting yourself and your career, but you are giving as well. So it's okay. I think that's a tricky area to people really poke in there, but there's a bit of self-congratulation about coming up and giving a talk, but I think it's still a good thing to do on the whole. People sometimes ask the question they know the answer to, and they want to see if you know the answer to it.
Yeah,
Not trying to.
Flip back at them.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you?
I did definitely, and that was that one at the Docker conference. I got asked. I think he asked me about why am I not on native Docker or something. I couldn't remember what I said, but I was like, oh, is it ready yet? I didn't know. So that was a bad answer. I should have known that, and B, I should have had my game plan together where I could have gone, yeah, sorry, I don't know. We just not got around to using it yet. Being honest, I think being honest is. And I did get another question previous year, and I can only remember the question, but the answer I gave was, can somebody else ask me a question that I do know the answer to? Which I thought was reasonably good to throw off. You can definitely only play that card once, so it's worth keeping that in mind. It's a back pocket one, it's an emergency one. That's it. Thank you very much.